There are places in this world where the unexplained will suddenly become akin to comfort, allowing the bizarre to bleed into the atmosphere. Within the city of Jefferson, Texas, resides such a location, in the form of a hotel that shares the city's name, in which the things that go bump in the night have begun to open doors, roam the halls, and reveal themselves. But the question is why? Why is this happening? Having never been there, I can't answer that question. But on October 1st and 2nd, 50 of you will have the chance to join me for a weekend-long paranormal investigation at AGH Presents The Ghosts of the Jefferson Hotel. My friends, I am incredibly excited about this event. To those of you that have already purchased your tickets, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you face to face in Jefferson, Texas. And for those of you who wish to join us at AGH Presents The Ghosts of the Jefferson Hotel, VIP tickets are sold out and there's only 15 gold tickets left. But you can get your gold tickets while they last by clicking the ticket link, which I've posted below in the description box. Having said that, let's jump right into the In a Crowded Room podcast. Hey, what's up everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast for episode number 139, which before we get rolling, I wanted to apologize for the slight break in brand new podcasts. I was filming back in Iowa. If you guys saw the message that I posted, I wanted to let you guys know that I was out and about, and I really did mean to record a podcast when I was back there, but we were filming all day long, and my last day there was 105 degrees with a heat index of 125. It was brutal, and we were out there every day. We'd shoot in the morning, then we'd shoot from 2 o'clock till about 10 o'clock at night. And it was collapse time at that point. I mean, we were wringing sweat out of our shirts. It was absolutely brutal. But I shot the most epic stuff that I've ever filmed. And I really do mean that. And that's coming from somebody who sees nothing but fault when I film. Little secret of mine. I pretty much am completely frustrated with my work 100% of the time because I always feel like it can be better. So to be happy with what we shot, that's a rarity. I don't mean that I dislike my work or anything, but I think any real artist, if they're being honest with themselves, they always feel like they can do better, right? That's not to say I didn't feel like things could have gone better in Iowa, but they were, or the shoots went really incredible. So what was I filming? I promise you, I'm going to tell you very soon. The next couple of weeks, you're going to see a promotional trailer for what I am working on. It's a film, I can tell you that much. It's a feature, a documentary, and you guys are going to be very excited. It's the largest film in scope that I've ever worked on. And what I mean by that is a lot of my films are very up close and very personal, and the camera is up close and you're right in there. Not to say that this film won't have a personal element, because it's probably the most personal film I've ever made, but the scope of what it is about is very large, and that's intimidating, but I'm also very excited about it. So anyways, rather than just keep feeding you crumbs as to what I'm talking about, I will hold off for now, and there will be a lot to talk about in the very near future. But I wanted to talk about something else with you guys that blew my mind. I just got home about 48 hours ago, and right when I walked in the door, I sat down. I was beat from flying all day, and I flipped on YouTube, and I saw a brand new series coming out from what I believe is the Spielberg heir apparent, Mr. J.J. Abrams. He's actually executive producing a new series on Showtime called U.F.O. Now, before I get into that, one of the things that's consistently frustrated me as I watch all this UFO news, and I've talked about this before, it's two things. In all these news stories, it cracks me up because nobody wants to say what other is. And what I mean by that is, whether it's Elizondo or CNN or Corbell or Knapp or whoever, they come out and say, well, we know it's not, these UFOs, we know it's not our technology. And we know it's not our adversary's technology. So it's other. Meaning, clearly they're talking about extraterrestrials. But nobody wants to say it, right? Nobody wants to say it. And it does. You do. You feel like Sam Kinison. Remember that old Sam Kinison stand-up where he's just going, say it! Say it! Like that's. I just want these guys to come out and say that's what we're talking about. But there's still the stigma surrounding that, and I don't understand why. I mean, anybody I've ever heard of intelligence, when you say, do you believe there's life in the universe? I mean, the math of that answer dictates that you would say yes. You would have to be pretty arrogant to believe that throughout the entire universe, we're the only place where life can exist. And really the same thing when it comes to, could we be found? Could people travel to us? Human beings are, we are babies as far as how long mankind has existed, human beings. In space-time, we're talking about a fraction of a millisecond like we've only been around for a little bit of time. So if there was another species that, say, predated us by only 1,000 years. There's nothing to say that they couldn't have found us, traveled to us. Technology makes incredible leaps every 5 years. So tack on 1,000 years of that. Much less, what if there's a race that's 1,000,000 years older than us? Again, in space-time, that's nothing. So the idea that, we could be visited is not only, well, to me, in my opinion, not only probable, but likely. That would make perfect sense. And I think I've told you guys, my belief is they've always been here. They were here before us, and they come from the water. I really believe that. That's the come from the water aspect. I'm going to do a whole other podcast on that because there's a lot of really good reasons to believe that. But anyways, back to the media coverage. They never want to say extraterrestrials. And the other thing that bothers me is nobody wants to say something big is coming. And clearly, in my opinion, something big is in fact coming. And I think the best argument for that is the fact that I hope we can all agree that our government doesn't give a shit about us. So when they're consistently rolling out all this information through everything, through COVID, through wars, through us leaving Afghanistan, through, all the Trump stuff, whether you're for or against, the one consistent thing through this entire scenario has been the rollout of this UFO narrative. And remember, Skyfall said this thing will work in stages. And his whole end game is he said that there will be a fake alien invasion to essentially make them the enemy and make us come together. At least this is the hope, that as mankind we would come together and support the energy elite and the industrial military complex in the making of extraterrestrials our enemy. Skyfall says this is because the elite does not want to lose their power. The energy elite. This is the oil barons, gas barons, natural gas barons, like basically the people that run the planet. And he says the reason for this is because they know there's a real alien invasion coming. Well, I've been waiting for a while for someone to basically say something big is coming. But I've noticed that the media, which is a slave to the government, they haven't been saying that yet. They've just been saying, this is fascinating, this is so neat, this is so interesting. And, they make their occasional joke and yuck, yuck, yuck. But no one's been saying there's a reason why this is all being laid out, because something big. I mean, when I say no one, I mean no one that has a worldwide voice. You should also know, and this is a fact, this is not me speculating or guessing, this has been going on since the beginning of Hollywood. The government, specifically the Department of Defense, every year meets with the heads of all the movie studios and all the television studios. And they identify who the bad guy is because they want that propaganda in films. The biggest example that I could think of was during the Cold War when Rocky, of course, fought Ivan Drago. Remember Ivan Drago? If he dies, he dies. when he killed Apollo Creed, and everybody in America wanted to kill Ivan Drago. But, whoever our modern day enemy is, whoever the military decides is our enemy, magically, that area of the world, those people show up in films simultaneously as bad guys. How many Middle Eastern films have you seen where everybody from the Middle East is our bad guy? And, when we turn our sights on Russia, then suddenly the bad guys are Russian. Well, lately we've been obviously seeing in movies, you guys, outside of E.T., like almost every alien film has these horrific creatures that just want to rip us to shreds. The most recent example was this terrible movie I watched like 30 minutes of. It was called, what was it called? Tomorrow's War with Chris Pratt. Once again, Earth is invaded by these bloodthirsty, they look like big deformed dogs with multiple arms and fangs, and these things just run around like some kind of monstrous demented creation with rabies, but yet they can traverse space and time and keep their cool long enough to get it. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It just drives me absolutely nuts. But my point in all this is that whenever the government wants to sell America on something, they go to Hollywood to do it. This is why people like Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise, Ridley Scott, this is why these guys get access to our Air Force carriers, our jets, our Harriers, our tanks, like all that stuff. That's the trade-off, basically. You make a war movie, we'll give you everything to make it look good, but here is, our propaganda machine. And, you also get hero films like Lone Survivor and stuff like that. Like, these films where you just, it makes you want to support the military, which I do. I do support the men and women of the military, not the industrial military complex per se, the heads. It's pretty hard to support, pretty hard to support those guys. But the soldiers, absolutely. Like I said, my father was a soldier, so my heart certainly lies with the men and women that put their life on the line to defend us. But again, the point I'm referencing is the DoD meets with Hollywood to say, these are the bad guys. This is who we want to make America hate. And that's a fact. So having said all of that, right when I get home, I sit down and I see U.F.O, new trailer. And this is a new Showtime series on the U.F.O narrative that is executive produced by J.J. Abrams. Now, I think J.J. Abrams, honestly, is like the next Spielberg. And I mean that in the sense that Spielberg is such an incredible storyteller, probably the best at straightforward storytelling, probably the best to ever do it. He's not, Spielberg's not really a stylistic filmmaker. Like, he's not a Wes Anderson. He's not a P.T. Anderson. He's not like a Tarantino. He shoots it pretty much down the middle, but he's so good at just making things easily consumable. And there is definitely an art to that. And JJ is the same way. He is very, very good at just making things make sense first time through. You don't got to rewind anything. Everything is paced well. He's just very good at delivering messages and telling stories. And I really do think in the future, he will be revered as a Spielberg-type filmmaker. So I was excited when I saw this trailer. And I watched it, and the link to this trailer is in the description. Before I go forward talking about this, go ahead and click on that link below. I was going to put it in the podcast here, but they'll tag me and demonetize me, and it's just easier to have you guys click the link in the description box. So go ahead and click the link and watch that trailer, and hit the pause button and come back to this podcast after you see it, okay? Okay, if you just watched the trailer, you might have saw what I saw. This narrative that if we were under a threat from an alien entity, our differences and the things that separate us would seem so small, and we'd all come together to try to kill the alien. This has been echoed by multiple presidents, most famously, of course, Ronald Reagan. And Bill Clinton has said it, Obama said it. It's the same line that keeps getting repeated over and over again. And here it is, right in the middle of this trailer, right here, which is nerve-wracking to me. Because if you read into all the theories around this fake alien invasion, it's all centered around that. It's all centered around the idea that that is the way to a one world order, or a new world order, a one world government that runs everything. And it just freaked me out to see this in there. It's really quick, but if you missed it, watch it again, and you'll hear the guy say, I forget exactly how he says it, but he says, basically, the things that separate us would seem insignificant. But more importantly, at the end of this, and now remember, as far as the entertainment companies go, this is the first major series on everything that's going on right now on one of the big, cable networks. This is Showtime. It doesn't get much bigger than that. This is J.J. Abrams. It doesn't get much bigger than that. And at the very end, finally, as Skyfall predicted they would start saying eventually, something big is coming. We had better prepare ourselves. That's the whole message of this entire trailer. Prepare yourself. Something big is coming. I don't believe for 1 second that this is just Showtime's thought, because you don't put stuff like that into a series unless you know something is in fact coming and there's going to be a payoff. Because the series will look stupid if you don't. It's kind of like you wouldn't make a series about 2012. Remember 2012, the world's going to end, that type of thing? You wouldn't make a series about 2012. J.J. Abrams definitely wouldn't, and say, get ready, because when 2012 hits, we're all fucked, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't do that, because you know it's not going to happen, right? So you wouldn't make a U.F.O. film and have access to all the people that Abrams clearly has in the series, which, by the way, the trailer looked leagues beyond anything else. Absolutely loaded with footage that is stunning. Like I said, there's no shortage of footage of this stuff. It's filmed every single day. There's amazing stuff out there that nobody can, explain. Just here yesterday, I don't know if you guys heard this story, but in LAX, they keep seeing a guy in a jetpack flying around major commercial airlines. Well, it's a big mystery right now because the creator of these jetpacks came forward and said it's impossible that people are seeing a guy in a jetpack up in the sky because, for example, the last report was at 5,000 feet. At 5,000 feet, this commercial airline pilot called in. This news story was just on yesterday. It's like the third or fourth time that this has been seen now, and said, hey, we got Jetpack Man. I'm watching him right now flying around. But the mystery is the creator says that's impossible. There is no technology that exists that allows a human being to wear a jetpack and fly up to 5,000 feet and then come back down and land. There's no fuel to do it that long. The flight's way too long. There's problems with going that high. But this guy came forward and said it's impossible that it's a human being. I don't know what you guys are seeing. Maybe it's some kind of drone or something else, but it's not a human being. And this keeps happening. But these mysteries all over the world, there's all kinds of UFOs everywhere. And it looks like JJ went out and found that footage. And I'm very excited about this series, but finally at the end, finally, like I said, they're saying, and especially the guy they interview, something big is coming. Now, Skyfall's talked to me about the fact that this is in stages. It's rolled out in stages. And I believe that this series is the first of the next stage. And what I mean is the first stage was just the whispers, right? Something's coming out, something's coming out, something's coming out. And then, they got Tom DeLonge and surrounded him with all these military guys, which, by the way, almost all of those guys that are in To the Stars have now backed off and they're no longer working with DeLonge. So if that doesn't tell you that he wasn't just a useful idiot, then I don't know what does. I don't mean him as I don't think I don't mean he's an idiot as a person. That's an expression, a useful idiot. Basically meaning they took a guy that they could use and they, bigged up his ego and they had him roll out a message that is a lot easier to digest from Tom DeLonge versus from General Miley, or something like that. But there was this first stage of just, talk that these things are real and whispers that there's going to be video coming out and stories and, and then they do. Then the videos come out and the stories come out. The New York Times story comes out. That's like stage one, right? All this, look, there's new evidence, blah, blah, blah. It's from the government. Oh, my God, it's a leak. Which I don't know how this stuff could be leaked considering somebody's funneling all of it through Jeremy Corbell. I don't know how that's a leak more than it is just the government giving him shit to release. I definitely believe those guys are actually working with the government, which it would have to be the only way that they have that type of information, and that those types of, one guy consistently leaking, videos filmed by military personnel. Yeah, you're working with the military, of course. You're a part of this narrative. You're not independent of it. It certainly seems that way. At least that's just my opinion. You may disagree. But I think stage 2 was the government acknowledging, right, this report. Congress says, look, we want this report. This report comes out and says, yes, there are. Here's 130 some cases. We have pilots saying they happen almost daily going up. Like, all of that is like stage 2, right? And during that time period, nobody was saying, beyond, like we were, right? Like smart people were going, yes, something's coming. That's why they're doing this. But nobody in the media was saying it. Nobody in Hollywood was saying it. And definitely nobody in the military was saying it. Until now. Now J.J. Abrams and Showtime are telling America and the world something big is coming. So what is that something big? Is it what Wernher von Braun warned the world about on his deathbed? That there is a fake alien invasion coming? The reason, on many different levels, that would make sense to me, and I really looked at, that's a massive stretch, and I can't fully wrap my brain around it and accept it, but it makes sense to a degree because our government consistently creates enemies that have no name or face, like the war on drugs. Whose drugs? Who do we fight with? How do we fight drugs? The war on terror. Who's terror? Like, how do we fight terror? Now it's the war with aliens. Well, who are the aliens? Like, until we see one, until they walk out and wave to us, which could very well be coming, I don't know who that is, And there's a lot of emphasis on militarizing this whole thing. And if this is real and if something is going to happen, man, I just think militarizing it is really, really scary. I mean, do you guys know, well, I'm sure you do. If you don't, the Battle of Los Angeles took place, I think it was in 1942, right outside my door here. And basically an object appeared off the coast of Long Beach, and it slowly made its way up to Los Angeles, where our military didn't know what it was, so they fired 1,600 anti-aircraft rounds at it. Here's what's scary about that. They reported the following day that they fired that many rounds, in which the press said, okay, well, you must have obliterated that thing. Like, what was it? And they said, we don't know. We didn't take it down. We never even hit it. We just hit around it. Now, if that thing, whatever it was, were so inclined, and if it were an alien, extraterrestrial being inside a very advanced, ship, which the government is now reporting, pilots are reporting. If you listen to, David Fravor, he's talking about, these things being clocked at 80,000 feet and going down to sea level in like a fraction of a second. That's obviously technology we don't have to the knowledge of the public, and if we believe the military what they're saying, which I have a tendency to believe that we don't have that type of technology. You tell me, if tomorrow something shows up that's really, really advanced, and it's far beyond anything that we can fathom or create, should we start shooting at it? Should we call it an enemy? Should we just fire? I mean, that seems like the most ignorant thing that anybody could possibly do. And I don't follow the rationale either. The rationale of, what is that? I don't know. Kill it. That doesn't make any sense to me, man. It just seems like the lowest, the lowest form of thought imaginable. I don't know what it is. Blow the shit out of it. And, man, I really hope Skyfall is wrong about this as far as how this is all going to play out. And because this could be something really incredible and something amazing for mankind, or this could be something terrifying. And I'm just really hoping it's the first. I'm really hoping that it's the first. But when I see trailers like this, when it says J.J. Abrams presents a massive name in Hollywood, and the message of the whole trailer is the world needs to prepare themselves because something big is coming. My only guess is somebody's met with these guys. And I'm not talking about the people in the documentary. I'm talking about the Department of Defense, the military, because you'd have to sell JJ on that. You'd have to sell him on, hey man, you're going to be the executive producer of a series that tells the world to prepare for sure something's coming. You cool with that? Well, I could see him going, well, it depends on what's coming, and do we know for sure something is? Because no, I don't want to go out there and sound crazy and say, it's coming, something big's coming, and and then nothing does. Then you look like a fool. But at the same time, if there's a confidence associated with the fact that something big is coming, then of course he'd put his name on it. Same thing with Showtime as a network. I mean, watch that trailer again. That is pure propaganda. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good propaganda because I'm stoked to see the series, but that is pure propaganda that tells us we better be prepared. And the guy mentions it in a way where it sounds dangerous. It sounds terrifying. The world better be prepared for what's coming. The world better be prepared for what's coming. Well, I hope it's something good. I hope that we're not going to make them an enemy. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I would love to hear your thoughts on the trailer. Just in general, what do you guys think about this militarizing everything and this, rehashing of the same line by multiple presidents that, if an outside alien race came, our differences would just disappear. Do you guys think that's the case? I don't. I don't think that's the case. I just think people are different, and sure, countries that are allies or whatever, there might be, some, joining together, but I just don't think anything in life is that black and white. I mean, look at what's going on right now, with the vaccine, and I firmly support, the idea that your body, your choice. I don't know what's more innate, than the belief that you should be able to control your own actions. I'm vaccinated, but that was my choice. And of course, I don't want people to get sick, but I get the idea that, we each have our own choices to make. But the idea in life that life decisions are just black and white, I think is foolish. And the idea that if aliens showed up, we would all just band together, forget our differences, and get ready for war. I don't see it playing out like that. So I would love to know your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast and you enjoy it, please click the subscribe button as well as the bell button for notifications so you get an email every time I release a new episode. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed episode number 139. I promise you I will be back tomorrow with more. All the best.